be. That's good, but there's more. So we'll see how you feel about that. This is our diagram. So we take, now people haven't heard of Markman and Gottman, and they have, within their research on the first marriage situation, they, yeah.
Okay, yeah.
Okay.
Do you have his name written down anywhere? Or can you tell me how you spell his name?
Gottman?
Oh, it's Mark?
Markman, just like Markman. Should be, yeah, it's right there, under the Four Horsemen of the Apocalypse. They're right there.
Oh, okay.
Gottman, Markman's model
Oh,
predicts divorce with a 94% accuracy.
Wow.
In their research, 94% accuracy. So if you, and one of the things that we're always doing with our couples is reminding them of the Four Horsemen. This is Gottman's thing, the Four Horsemen. And the Four Horsemen are criticism, contempt.
They had this on TV recently.
Yeah.
Helen Fisher.
Yeah. Defensiveness, stonewalling. You need to know these things when you see it in your practice. Generally, women do the criticism and contempt, and men do the defensiveness and stonewalling. I want to get into some of the gender differences as to why we do that, because that's really a gender-related issue as to how come we use those sort of things. We constantly remind clients about this dynamic going on. Now, take this dynamic, a 94% predictor of divorce in a first marriage situation. Now move into the stepfamily with all its complexities, and you compound this whole thing, as I keep saying, exponentially. And so we've called it the 8-step monsters. And we want to be able to, that you remember them. You can't deal with what you can't label. So the first thing we start out with, what they're leaving. They're leaving the intact family. Mother, father, child, biologically bonded. That's what they're leaving. That's what that stuff says over there. There's a man and a woman, mother and father, leaving that. And to get to where they're going to, which is hopefully a healthy, functioning, recoupled family, or a positive single parent, both with a good co-parenting plan, which we do not. There are a few states that mandate a actual co-parenting plan when there's joint custody. Most states, lawyers, whatever, do not mandate a co-parenting plan. We say, as good helping professionals, we must work out a co-parenting plan. That means on-time pickups, exact pickups. You work out the schedule every 6 months. You write it down. You put it on a calendar. Anyway, we're going toward that. You go, and no bad-mouthing, things like that, to this healthy system. And most people don't make it. 2 out of 3 don't make it. So the monsters you've got to go through to get there. No, we have them so neatly put in 4 C's and 4 D's. And which is what you mentioned, you guys. One monster there is the conflicting pull. Go on page 2 of this, 2 of 2. Critical point, understand this, is the conflicting pulls of blood and sex. So, new relationship. I have a new husband. My friend has a new husband and a child. One of my friends, her child was 3. She and her husband had these formal, wonderful dinners. The child was upstairs eating a TV dinner for 3 years. And so who comes first? Who do I deal with first? My sexual relationship or my blood relationship? In my family, everybody would call me all at the same time, except kids, my husband and my child. And I finally figured out, okay, I'm answering this in order of seniority, oldest first. If grandma's here, she calls me, answer her first. But who do you listen to first? Who comes first? Again, in that conflicting pull of blood and sex, that natural rejection of non-self tissue. Doctors prepare for, this is the number 2 dot there, bullet. You can write along that there. This natural rejection of non-self tissue. So I am naturally going to reject my stepfather, my stepmother, and my stepsisters. They're not like me. Why do I have to have them? Just because you want to have a relationship with him. And so doctors prepare for this when they do an organ transplant, for this immunological rejection of non-self tissue. We as good helping professionals need to prepare for this in a step relationship. My mother waited till I was married to get married. She married, I was raised as a Christian Zionist. She met him in church, it was perfect. She married another Christian Zionist. She got married after I was married. I still hated him. But it didn't end up that way. So again, the whole issue that comes up on the web survey, who comes first, the child or the partner? And this is something we have to decide on.
About an adult. A friend of mine who's an adult when her father remarried and her mother had been dead for many years. And she was so unhappy. And I kept saying to her, why aren't you happy? You don't have to worry about your father so much anymore.
Thing. Sure.
But,
it's endemic.
But there
Who
it was.
is this person taking, with my parents? Why did they have a place? Why did they all of a sudden become the male head of the household? Not that my stepfather really told me what to do.
I think it's all that blood thing.
It's a blood thing. My stepmother is 4 years older than me. My father laid down the law right away. Like, you will be appropriate to Hilda. You will have good manners. What I used to do with my father all the time, when he had ladies over to the house and I was visiting there, I would just go prancing into the bedroom at age 13 or 14, pick up the cover and say, what's your name? And she'd say, Mary. And I'd say, oh, you're not the one that was here last week. And I'd get her out of there in a second. She was gone for the rest of the day.
It can really reach bizarre proportions.
Oh yeah,
My parents,
I was a nice.
my parents are in their 80s. My mother has a friend who's also in her 80s that's kind of dating this other man who's demented, 80, 90, I don't know, and his kids give her a hard time.
I know, isn't it
You
sad?
would think, my God, that someone's here to help out,
Mhm.
but they really are not good to her, and they resent her. They must be in their 60s themselves.
I know.
It's
This
so
is that
bizarre.
rejection of non-self tissue. It's endemic. It's psychologically endemic as much as it is physiologically endemic. When you do that organ transplant, it's just endemic to the situation. And we don't know why it is. It just is. So you got to be prepared for it. And you can't say, well, why do you feel that way, and try to work them through that. You go, that's classic. And that's the whole answer about that. And we have to deal. And we have to forgive. And we have to go on. So you don't try to work through that psychologically. You don't do any in-depth psychology here, because it's like trying to do in-depth psychology with ducks who fly south in October. I mean, it just happens. And the whole thing about blood and sex is like, love me, love my child. Of course, if you love me, my darling, you love my child. What a surprise that was. When he said he'd given my 10-year-old son a 10-speed bike, and we lived in Aspen, 3.3 miles from town. It's getting dark, and I said, oh my God, I'm going to take the car and look for Lars. There's no bicycle path. He says, oh, I'm going to take the car and look for Lars. It's getting dark. We should be so lucky, he said. I said, maybe he's hit by a car. We should be so lucky. That was a surprise. He was trying to be funny. So this, you must understand, that conflict of blood and sex. That is going to be there. And people handle it differently. I was like a tiger mother with my child, whereas my girlfriend put her child upstairs and had that TV dinner for 3 years. He had the worst room in his house, in this really wonderful big house. He had the worst looking, ugliest room. So that's there. Any questions on that one? You've gotta know this one. Talk about how to treat it. Just recognize it as classic.
It really helps to have that as a framework, I can tell you, because here I was this elementary school teacher. Okay, I'm all for kids, and then I find myself with these really good kids thinking, I don't know what's happening to me. I'm turning into this person having these thoughts, and I don't even know who I am. I'm supposed to be getting better and evolving my life. I'm supposed to make myself better, and I'm turning into this dark side person that I can't even accept. So it's really very helpful to normalize.
That's right. To normalize this is exactly what we're doing.
You say, now I know where this is coming from. I know I'm brilliant.
Yeah, right.
It's not her. It's
and
not
to
me.
normalize it in your clients. This is normal.
It's good to, and it's a nice framework that you don't want to work it through as opposed to looking at this is something wrong or bad. But it's probably going to be helpful to figure out what it is that you're jealous of or what it is that you're.
You don't even know.
Sometimes.
My stepfather was a perfectly nice man as long as he was married to his wife, who died. As soon as he became my stepfather, he was not a perfectly nice man, he was the weasel. That I never said to his face, but I took myself behind his back. Plus he was not as good looking as my father. There's a wonderful thing that we have in the first book called Living in Steps. It was the story about little Donnie. And little Donnie was 4, and he the stepfather, were raking a great big pile of leaves about this time of the year, a little bit later, for Donnie to jump in. All of a sudden, Donnie's having a good time, and he goes, "You're not my father," and he runs into the house and tells his mother, like, and was really upset. So the mother starts fighting with her partner, the husband, and the whole thing is all of a sudden all over this conflict of loyalties. You're not my father, all that kind of stuff. The kid just begins to feel that. It just comes up in some sort of acting out behavior. That rejection, you're not my father. You're there where my father is supposed to be. And if I'm, that's the whole thing, the conflict of loyalties at number 4. If I love you or care about you, that means I don't care about my father. Or I don't care about my mother. So, those are things we just have to normalize and know as classic and mark as classic in our work with people. Do not try to analyze them. But a stepfamily cannot and will not function as does a biological family. Tell your clients that. The biological model is used. You and his 16-year-old daughter are having conflict. So the model of our training is you, stepmother, and 16-year-old daughter, go settle that. Wrong. You become the cruel stepmother in a heartbeat. You go to your partner, you go to the father, and you work that out together. And you say, now, he says, now young 16-year-old here, this is how we act in this house. We say hello, goodbye, please, and thank you. We look my partner, your stepmother, in the eye. We do. They start beginning to lay down the rules and the structure. And he curbs the behavior, and they together create what we call the house rules. Oh, my book just came out yesterday, and I want to put this is the new one I just came out yesterday, and this is what you're going to need for all the structuring. And I hate the title. So the expectation of instant love, love me, love my child, will be one big happy family. We both had failures. We both had terrible things. Now we're going to be one big happy family.
Can we buy those from you? Do you have them here?
Yes. And I really recommend that. That's the kind of how-to, the whole structure and that stuff. It'll be like the old family, but even better. My mother waited until I got married to get married.